I'm about to introduce you to 5 creatures that would make a great white look like a goldfish and turn your worst arachnophobia into a pleasant daydream. These aren't your typical big-toothed monsters. Oh no, we're talking about nature's deleted scenes that were so horrifying, evolution itself said, yeah, let's not do that again. Buckle up because we're diving into prehistoric nightmare fuel that'll make you grateful for extinction events. Let's start with something that sounds like it was named by a 5-year-old having a panic attack, the terror bird. And honestly, that kid nailed it. Picture this, a bird that's 9 feet tall, can't fly, but runs at 30 miles per hour with a beak designed like a medieval war hammer. Basically, Big Bird's psychopathic cousin who skipped therapy and went straight to murder. These feathered nightmares ruled South America for 60 million years. That's longer than mammals have even been trying to figure out what the heck they're doing. With beaks powerful enough to crack skulls like walnuts, terror birds were the apex predators of their time. They'd chase down early horses and basically anything else that moved, because apparently running really fast and having a face-destroying beak was their entire personality. The scariest part, they were smart. Pack hunters with the problem-solving skills of velociraptors and the killing power of a freight train with anger issues. But wait, if you think a 9-foot murder bird is bad, how about we shrink things down and multiply the horror by about 1,000 legs? Meet Arthropleura. Imagine a millipede that hit the gym for 50 million years straight and developed a serious attitude problem. This thing was 8 feet long and 2 feet wide. Basically a living, breathing nightmare subway car that decided sidewalks were optional. Picture walking through a forest 300 million years ago and hearing this thing rustling through the undergrowth. It sounds like someone dragging a garbage bag full of clicking castanets, except that garbage bag could probably bench press a small car. With hundreds of legs moving in perfect synchronization, Arthropleura was like nature's answer to the question, what if we made transportation completely horrifying? These armored buses with legs were herbivores, which somehow makes them worse. Nothing says I'm confident in my ability to ruin your day, like being the size of a canoe and choosing salad over violence. They didn't need to be aggressive. They just needed to exist in your general vicinity to make you question every life choice that led to that moment. Of course, if giant millipedes aren't doing it for you, let's talk about what happens when evolution decides to combine a wolf with a bear and then give it the personality of a serial killer. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Andrewsarchus, the result of Mother Nature asking, what if we made a wolf but wrong? This thing had a skull 3 feet long, which is like having a head the size of a coffee table, except the coffee table is lined with teeth that could turn a Volkswagen into scrap metal. At 13 feet long and weighing as much as a small elephant, Andrewsarchus was basically what you'd get if a grizzly bear and a great white shark had a baby and raised it on a diet of pure rage and protein powder. It lived 45 million years ago when the world was apparently run by creatures who took go big or go home way too literally. The most terrifying part? We only know about this thing because someone found a single skull. 1. Skull. Which means paleontologists looked at this massive death head and went, yep, definitely need to name this thing and then sleep with one eye open for the rest of our lives. What's even scarier is wondering what the rest of its body looked like, because if the head was 3 feet of pure nightmare fuel, I don't want to know what was connected to it. But hey, at least all these creatures were stuck on the ground with us, right? Oh, you sweet, naive little lamb. Let me introduce you to your new reason to never look up. Say hello to Quetzalcoatlus, the flying giraffe that evolution designed during what I can only assume was a particularly dark fever dream. With a wingspan of 35 feet, that's wider than most apartments. This thing was basically a hang glider with the personality of a pterodactyl and the dietary preferences of a garbage disposal. This wasn't your cute little pterodactyl from the movies. Oh no. Quetzalcoatlus was 16 feet tall when standing, which means it could look you in the eye while deciding whether you'd make a good snack. It weighed 500 pounds of pure nope and could fly at speeds that would make commercial airlines jealous, all while being completely silent thanks to those massive membranous wings. The truly horrifying part, scientists think it was a scavenger, which means it spent its days cruising the skies like nature's most terrifying garbage truck, looking for things that were already dead or close enough to dead that a gentle nudge from a 16-foot flying nightmare would finish the job. It was basically evolution's way of saying, what if we made the sky unsafe too? Alright, I can see you're sufficiently traumatized by the concept of aerial death machines, so let's bring this back down to earth with something nice and simple, like, say, a snake. A perfectly normal, reasonable snake that's 50 feet long and weighs as much as a car. Meet Titanoboa, the snake that made every other snake look like a piece of spaghetti having an identity crisis. At 42 feet long and weighing over a ton, this thing was basically what you'd get if someone took a school bus, made it completely flexible, and gave it the life goal of hugging everything to death. Living 60 million years ago in what's now Colombia, Titanoboa didn't need venom because when you're the width of a telephone pole and longer than a city bus, poison is just showing off. This thing killed by constriction, which is a fancy way of saying it gave hugs that lasted forever because you'd be dead. The most mind-bending part? Titanoboa lived in a world that was so much warmer than today that giant snakes could actually exist. We're talking about average temperatures of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which means not only were there bus-sized snakes slithering around, but it was also too hot to run away effectively. It was like living in Florida, but somehow worse. Scientists found Titanoboa fossils in a coal mine because apparently even extinct nightmare snakes have a sense of dramatic irony. So there you have it. 5 reasons to be absolutely thrilled about extinction events. We've got murder birds with attitude problems, millipedes the size of kayaks, wolf bears with heads like coffee tables, flying giraffes with garbage disposal tendencies, and snakes that could probably squeeze the life out of a small building. The next time someone complains about modern wildlife, just remind them that we live in the Disney version of Earth's biological history. The director's cut was apparently way too intense for general audiences. But here's the real question that's going to keep you up tonight. What other terrifying creatures are we still discovering? What nightmarish fossils are sitting in rocks right now, waiting for some unsuspecting paleontologists to unearth them and make us all question our place in the food chain? Until next time, sleep tight, and remember, extinction is sometimes a good thing.